Part 2. He is stopped by Taylor's childhood friend, Isla Triss, the main heroine of the original storyline, who tells Ed not to come any closer and not to bother Taylor anymore. Taylor is already having a hard time without Ed, he doesn't need to harass him anymore. Taylor stands up and questions why Ed is still in the school. Ed is shocked to see that Taylor has already been revived. Taylor stands in front of Isla and confronts Ed. Ed notices that Taylor's fighting spirit that never falters no matter how strong his opponent is. His willpower is evident in his eyes. While Ed dueled with the princess, his childhood friend and biggest cheerleader, Isla, ran out the door right away without a single glance back. Isla sat by Taylor and told him that he could get through it this time too. He has always been great at that. She told him that he could do it. He shouldn't be discouraged by this. In the present, Taylor asks Ed why he is there, and does he has any business with him. Ed thinks to himself that, with Isla by his side, Taylor will rise to his feet again and again. Ed goes silent for a while before telling Taylor that he saw he was great with a sword. And Taylor asks what Ed is scheming this time because they have never been on good terms. Ed wonders about when he used to play as Taylor in the game and how he has seen through lots of exposure with Taylor and has been with him since the end of the game. Ed turns around to leave and tells Taylor that he's not scheming anything this time. Honestly, he knows Taylor will save the world, so he should just worry about surviving. He treated Taylor like a pushover since he was the game's protagonist who do all the hard work instead of him. But right now, Ed is actually relieved. Not because the story that strayed away from the original came back on track, but because Taylor, whom he was with for so long when he used to play the game, is still okay. That's all he needs. Ed walks away leaving the two confused about what just happened. They wonder why Ed is acting like he's cool. While Ed continues to walk away, a loud explosion erupts from the arena, drawing Ed's attention to it. And he realizes that one of the biggest fights of the combat training is happening already. Originally, everyone was supposed to have witnessed this while in their seats at the nail building. A greater fire spirit is attacking a girl, who is casting an ice spell to counterattack. This girl is the Golden Daughter, Lortel. She managed to freeze the fire spirit. Some seconds later, the spirit cracks the ice and free from it. We finally see her opponent, who is riding the dragon. It turns out Lortel's opponent is our lovely waifu, Janica. Though it's in a different form from the original, Ed is sure Taylor and Isla are watching this scene. He hopes Taylor will keep his eyes peeled, because one of the numerous trials approaching him, the Act 1 final boss is Janica Failover. Lortel, waifu 2, is struggling to fight this spirit. The dragon breathes fire at Lortel and completely defeats her. Act 1 final boss, Janica is happy about winning the fight rather easily. Is it just me, or is this a foreshadowing of the final fight for Ed's heart at the end of the story? After securing her victory, Janica is surrounded by the NPCs, who congrats her on being the only one from the second year, who won against the first-year students. Honestly, I think the second years should be ashamed for losing their fights against new students. What a disgrace, no wonder that you are just NPCs of the story. They praise Janica for having a great personality and being good at spirit sorcery. They wonder if she is even bad at anything. Janica, cheerful as ever, received their praise and thanked them for their support. She is horrified when she hears people passing by with the defeated Lortel. She sees Lortel, all burnt up and in pain after their fight. She is being moved out on a stretcher to the infirmary. As the useless second years continue to praise her and call her the pride of the sophomore students, no one notices the horrified look she is wearing after seeing what she did to another person. Unlike the original story, Lucy defeated Taylor, and it all ended with the main character of the joint combat training being Janica, who became the protector of the pride of the second-year students. Ed comes to the arena to pick up his jacket and go back to his forest. He thinks Janica already has a lot of friends, but this incident will make things even more frantic for her. Well, it might just be better for him since he won't be seeing her at the camp anymore. 2 weeks after the joint combat training, while he is doing his usual chores, he thinks his head starts spinning when he gets entangled with the main characters. It's already been 2 weeks since the joint combat training. Without the main characters bothering him, he can go all in on his studies and survival without worry. He has a fishing net, so the food problem is somewhat solved. His stats have also changed drastically. Stamina is 6, intellect is 5, talent is 9, willpower is 8, and luck is 6. Not only has his stats increased, but his body has also gone through drastic changes. Bro even has 6-pack abs now. But he knows it is too early to be lazy now. As Ed walks towards his campsite, his number stalker is hiding in the bushes, spying on him again. When she notices he is half naked, she covers her face with her hands while still looking at him and blushing. She asks Ed if he likes being naked, cause this is the second time she has seen him like that. Ed asks what the hell she is talking about after she suddenly showed up here, and besides he is just coming back from fishing. As Janica sits beside the campfire, Ed asks what's so great about the place that she keeps coming back. She responds that this place is like a top-secret base. So she feels like an adventurer, and that's exciting. She tells him that she wants to talk to him a little more. And she even needs advice on something. Ed becomes surprised and wonders why she will need advice from him of all people. She tells him that since he left early during the joint combat training, so he might not have seen it, but in the joint combat training last month, she hurt someone. Ed remembers Lortel, who is the person Janica is talking about. He knows that her opponent used an intermediate level spell, even though it was not allowed, so Janica had no choice. Well, that wouldn't be important for the good-hearted Janica. She would still feel guilty for beating her. She explains that she kept trying to forget it, but maybe she did overdo it. She can't get rid of the thought that she overreacted. He understands her feelings, and she asks him if she should apologize to Lortel. Her friends keep stopping her, saying Lortel was the first to use intermediate-level magic when it was not allowed. Ed tells Janica to apologize if she thinks it is right. Ed knows that the lovely and bubbly Janica is a treasure to everyone, she is in every way. So if she ever felt guilty or self-critical, everyone would come forward to encourage her and take her side. But Janica knew that it's nice when someone has your back no matter what, but that doesn't erase the wrongs that were done. That's probably why she came to me. She tells Ed that, it's just as she expected of him, he will never take her side unconditionally. Ed says he can't help it if that offends her. Janica happily responds that he is misunderstanding cause she doesn't feel offended at all. She thinks he is not the same type of guy he was last year. Janica may be the bubbly, smiley girl, but she was just as observant as the next person. She noticed that, even when Ed asked for money during hard times, he didn't show the desperation that people usually have in such a situation. She knows Ed was indirectly telling her not to come close. But those sides of Ed stayed with her as a strange comfort. She tells Ed that she finds it reassuring. She honestly wishes everyone in the world was like Ed. The next day, as the tired Ed quickly moves, like he is trying to escape something or someone, he is faced with a serious problem. The game, The Failed Swordsman of Sylvania, is a masterpiece, but very few people have seen its happy ending. Newbies or rookies especially encounter several bad endings early on. For example, if the player saves a red-haired girl during an ambush by kobolds in the class placement test, the player will witness the secrets of the Golden Daughter, Lortel. She then sends someone to kidnap Taylor, and just like that, the main character is assassinated. Which is bad ending 3. Another bad ending is, in the monster slaying practice episode, if the player skips the childhood friend, Isla, and forms a unit with the Golden Daughter. Isla, the main heroine, falls off a cliff to her death, which is bad ending 7. That's because Taylor was supposed to rescue Isla, who had fallen off the cliff. Another bad ending 3, is if you protect the Golden Daughter from the fire spirit Tarkan, summoned by Janica. Someone calls Ed from behind but he refuses to stop for the person. He decides to run and escape this annoying person. But the person cuts Ed off and he questions her on how long she is going to keep following him. She didn't think Ed would grit his teeth and ignore her for so long. Of course, he's going to grit his teeth and ignore her. It was obvious what he was trying to do. This girl is the failed swordsman of Sylvania's fourth heroine, the business magnate Elt Ketcheln's only daughter, Lortel Ketcheln, the golden daughter aka newbie crusher aka waifu number 2. She asks Ed if she can buy 2 hours of his time. Lortel Ketcheln is designated as the hidden hero. Unlike Fenia, Lortel was treated as a villain from the start. Her true colors were only revealed in the later half of the story. The moment players begin to understand realist Lortel's loneliness and anguish, players are at a crossroads between Fenia and Lortel. While Ed is silently thinking, Lortel tries to get his attention. Ed knows he cannot fall for her words right now. So like the true Sigma male he is, he walks past the girl, who is left stunned by his action. If this Jigachad plays this as she intends, he'll lose the initiative. But Lortel, ever persistent, continued to disturb him. She asks for Ed to at least hear her out a little, 'cause she wants to help him out. Ed tells her to not say things she doesn't mean. She asks, how can he say that about the respect she holds for him? She manages to stop him and says to him that seeing him is such an inspiration to her. Even under such difficult circumstances, he continues to learn. And of course, Ed being arrogant and self-centered is not exactly unheard of. But honestly, who cares about that? She wants him to listen to her offer first. She'll even give him 3 gold coins as a down payment. But what she says next is what shocks Ed. She has heard he is quite close to Janica these days, so can he help her befriend Janica? Ed is also surprised. She is offering him 3 gold coins, which for some, it's a whole month's earnings. But he really isn't interested in that. He with a stern look, asks her that, does the great golden daughter buys connections with money as well? The confident girl pulls Ed's shirt and puts the money into his pocket, telling him to keep it for now, because she's well aware that the more people she has on her side the better. Ed knows that she intuitively realizes that she will be in a political fight with the princess for control of the academy. And that she must start gaining allies from now on. Ed smiles in amusement, he agrees to her request and asks for them to shake hands on it. As she reaches her hands to shake his, she thinks for people like Ed Roth-Taylor, who have been wealthy all their lives, a moment of poverty is enough to crush their hearts. But surprisingly, for people who face such predicaments, chump change tends to become their downfall. They eventually sell their families, their pride, and even themselves for the sake of a gold coin. Preying on the desperate is just that easy and simple. Sadly, that's how it should have been. Ed returned her gold coins to her when he shook her hands. But the crazy bee is actually amused by the fact that Ed didn't fall for her temptation. She looks at him while he walks into the forest. What a true Sigma male. Ed is angry at himself because he knows if he had gotten the gold coins, it might have made things easier for him. Though it is a shame. He can't even imagine the horrors he would go through if he had gotten stuck between the newbie crusher and Janica. Then get ready, buddy, the future has a lot of trouble in store for you. Ed knows he has to avoid anything that increases the chances of change in the original storyline at all costs. That night, Lortel didn't feel humiliated by Ed's clear-cut rejection. She approaches Janica herself. Understanding the pros and cons, profits and self-interest. The perfect businessman doesn't lose any opportunity that comes within their reach. She tells Janica that she didn't expect to see her there. What a lame lie. Janica responds to her and says she looks different with her hair down, so she almost didn't recognize her. Another terrible liar. At this moment, an unrelenting spirit awakened within Lortel to turn Janica into one of her people. During their fight, she intentionally made a big fuss by using forbidden intermediate magic because she wanted to see how great the top sophomore student was, though she had to pay a big price for it. She tells Janica, it's been a while, but she wanted to apologize when she got the chance. Janica notices that her wound hasn't healed yet. Lortel tells Janica not to worry about her wound, she is sure it will heal quickly. Lortel thinks since Janica is like a main character in a fairy tale, it would be easier to manipulate her if she used her guilt against her. But Lortel is shocked when she finds out that Janica knows about her talk with Ed in the afternoon. She tries to deny it, but Janica tells her that she told the spirits to restrain themselves when it comes to personal matters, but the spirits sure love chatting. We see the spirits around Janica. It turns out this girl has a surveillance team watching over Ed. Janica shows a sinister smile and tells Lortel that she heard most of the conversations from the spirits around the northern part of the forest. Lortel quickly realizes that her plans have been seen through already. Her conversation with Ed, and how she tried to bribe him is no secret to Janica. Janica with a scary face, tells her that, they say money can't buy sincerity, so to her, Ed's approach is a bit more moving. Janica switches back to her cheerful self and asks if she acted too smug about herself. It's her first time being a senior, so she might have boasted a little. It's kind of embarrassing. Lortel realizes that her evaluation of this girl is all wrong. She is going to have to modify her evaluation of her. Janica walks away because she is going to make preparations to form a contract with a high-ranking spirit, and it will take a while. She has been getting a lot more support lately, so she intends to work harder. Lortel stands there speechless. Her thought of Janica being similar to the main characters in fairy tales is all wrong. She is not a person who's oblivious to the ways of the world. Janica turns and apologizes for the other day. Because she got hurt because of Janica, she sincerely hopes she gets well soon. Lortel is stunned that despite Janica being completely aware of the dark side of the world, she is a person who maintains her cheerful personality. Janica goes into her room and slams the door behind her. Lortel stands there and wonders why making allies is so hard. But she also noticed that Janica strangely looked on the edge. In her room, Janica knows she gotta work harder because it's really nice when people expect good things from you. In the morning, as Ed hangs his clothes to dry them, Lucy, who is always at his camp, notices the smell and decides to leave there for today, making a mess as she leaves, which ruins Ed's clothes and upsets him. Suddenly someone appears in the forest, drawing Ed's attention. This person turns out to be the senior maid of Sylvania's finest dormitory, Ophelis Hall, Belle Maya. She's the same maid who kicked Ed out of the dorm at the beginning of the story. Ed is honestly surprised to see her here. But Belle already knows he is staying here since Lady Janica, who is a resident of the Ophelis Hall, talks a lot about him. She didn't expect him to be living in this state, though. She tells him she is glad to see it's been a good change for him. Ed just blindly stares at her and gives uninterested answers to what she is saying. Honestly, her words fell on deaf ears, and his gaze kept going down somewhere else. Bro, slow down, this is not that kind of manhwa. The Ophelis Hall's maids are an elite group of women who perform all household chores to perfection, including feeding the students. So inside that basket in her hands must be the finest ingredients that this elite maid gathered from the forest. False alarm, guys, he was just looking at the basket on her arms, not you know where. Moving on, Ed is aware of the information about the maids because he knows the game a lot. He starts to wonder if there is an event where Belle Maya could impact the main plot. She tells Ed that he doesn't need to be respectful. He can talk down to her as he had while residing in Ophelis. He quickly denies her offer. The next moment, Maya becomes shocked when Ed smiles, and politely tells her he cannot talk down to a maid who's always working so hard. Ed thinks hard about the game, and after realizing Maya doesn't have a direct impact on the main plot of the story, he decides it wouldn't be a problem if they, the extras, become friends. Ed politely asks Maya about the things in her basket. The system informs Ed that he has heard about the explanation of various edible berries, mushrooms, and herbs from Maya. His crafting proficiency increases again after he crafts a fish farming net installation. Now he has plenty of meat and fish, so his dietary needs are almost solved. Ed uses his spell, Ignition, to boil water in a fancy-looking cup. Now even his two basic spells, Fire Magic, Ignition, and Wind Magic, Wind Blade, are both level 10. Because he used the basic spells so many times, he had reached level 10 without even knowing. Another notification informs him of his new product, herbal tea, which Maya showed him how to make. Because of all things new knowledge and improvement in his daily life, today he finished his work while the sun still hadn't set. If he is being honest, he's having fun with this way of living. He looks up and sees something twinkling like a star in the sky, quickly falling towards his camp. It crushes into his camp, throwing Ed back and ruining his perfect day. Ed wonders what on earth it is that destroyed his precious camp. Is it a bird? Is it an airplane? No, it's just Lucy making an epic entry. That just about killed me, the scared Lucy said. Ed is surprised that Lucy, the world's most powerful mage, was almost killed by someone. The trembling Lucy gets PTSD as she thinks about Belle Maya, the maid from earlier. Ed is confused cause to him, she seems like a good person. Lucy explains the situation, she just skipped class like she usually does, but today, Maya was kinda moody for some reason. So she came with her fist clenched tighter than usual. It was all so sudden that Lucy just teleported out of there. She escaped before she could take a beating because she thought it would hurt. Ed becomes furious at Lucy for destroying his house because of something like that. Ed wonders what kind of stress Maya is going through, taking care of this girl. As Lucy, unbothered by the destruction she caused, asks Ed for some jerky. He gives her a knock on the head, telling her she ruined everything. Ed is surprised when his blow lands on her head and she feels pain. Ed wonders why she is not using any protective spells. Lucy explains that she has run out of all her magic. This news excites Ed, who has a bone to pick with her for destroying his house. He flicks her forehead for his house and another flick for always stressing Maya. Well done, Kazuma from Konosuba will be proud. Ed thinks next time, he will have to build a sturdier house out of real wood. A few days later, Ed visits the library, cause with as busy as he is, it's a huge plus for him to gain all the knowledge he wants during his visits to the library. Ed closes the book he was reading and says, the materials for planning and other necessities, all that's left is the method of smoothing the wood and finishing the roof. The librarian comes to Ed and tells him it's closing time. She sees he is studying really hard. Ed asks if it has already been that long. He is sorry for staying too long. She tells him, that's okay. Seeing someone like him study so diligently really boosts my motivation to study as well. This girl is called Elka Island from the Faculty of Magic, she is in year 1. She tells Ed her name and cheerfully looks at him, hoping he will tell her his name. Ed reluctantly tells her that his name is Ed Roth Taylor. The girl's face turns grim after hearing his name, well aware of who he is. But Ed is already used to this reaction. As always, the previous Ed's notoriety just doesn't go away. No surprise there, he has only been living diligently, but there is no way that changes anything. Before he can finish his train of thought, she tells him that he is extremely different from what the rumor says about him. He has even been reading all the books on elemental studies. They are hard for her to understand in just a few days. Even right now, he has read through over 6 technical texts while sitting there. The other NPCs say he acts all arrogant when they don't even know anything about him. She guesses rumors are not to be trusted after all. She tells him that she knows someone who is just as sincere as him, so she will be cheering for him. Ed thanks her. She tells him to have a safe trip back. And that she is going to clean up and head back to her dorm. Before she can leave, an earthquake occurs throughout the school. And an entire bookshelf is about to fall on the girl. A big summoning circle appears in the sky of the academy causing a disaster. Episode 1, the final chapter, Glaskin Showdown, has started. At 11:30, a temporary camp was formed in front of the student center. Thanks to the main character, Taylor, and his friends' efforts, many students gathered at the camp. It has been 2 hours since the unprecedented disaster. Isla's remembers seeing this in a book on spirit magic. It is a summoning rune to summon the highest-ranked spirit of darkness, Glaskin. The princess tells the gathered students that this is bad news because there's only one person with a high enough spirit connection level to summon that many spirits. It's highly likely the enemy is the one who went berserk due to the spirit of darkness, the Year 2 top student, Janica Feylover. The place becomes silent. The princess continues to talk. It's unfortunate, but this is not the time for this. If Isla's right, then the barrier around the students will merely buy some time. Taylor says that if Glaskin is summoned, there will be more casualties. They need to head inside to the student center. Claire, the captain of the Royal Guard, says that people outside the barrier will not in no time. If the Imperial Guards and the professors deal with it, it will soon. Alvira Aniston, a first-year student from the Faculty of Alchemy, says that if it's the spirit of darkness, its barrier must be tough. They must solve this from the inside. Principal Abel is out of town as well. If everyone here joins hands, she bets they could even take down a high-rank spirit. Don't they think so too? Hold on, why are the first-year students, the ones trying to save the school, where are their seniors? We know the second years are useless, but what about the third and fourth-year students, are they also useless? What a bunch of waste. Back to the story. One of the students around, Clebius Nortondale, is seriously panicking at the thought that he might have to go up against the spirits. They'll get through the intermediate-level spirits and subdue the spirit boss as well. Then they are going to enter the building and take down Janica. But that's not all. There are high-rank spirits inside, 2 of them at that. High-rank Berserk Fire Spirit, Tarkan, and high-rank Spirit of Darkness, Verosphor. Clebius freaks out screaming, "That's suicide," so he is not going. Lortel asks if Janica really did this all on her own. Even for a Year 2 top student, isn't she way too powerful? She's summoning Glaskin while manifesting all these spirits at the same time. Isla explains it is mostly Velospher's power. Senior Janica is merely a medium to manifest it. Spirits of darkness are the natural enemies of a spirit sorcerer. Their enormous power is simply beyond a spirit sorcerer's control. The demons that in fact take control of the spirit sorcerers are the reason all spirit sorcerers feel this way. Because they become their prey. Yet, how Senior Janica, the most remarkable student in spirit studies, managed to command Velosphor, isn't known to anyone. One student says that's not what's important right now. What's important right now is to decide our course of action. And there is only one person who can decide that. He asks Princess Phenia what they should do now. The princess remains silent, as everyone stares at her to make a decision. The moment when everyone waits for her decision. Suddenly, Ed's nonchalant remark flashes through her mind. She remembers how he said that whatever burden he carried, it can't be any heavier than what she carries, can it? So why doesn't she have some peace of mind? She wonders how great it would be if only it were that easy. She tells them that they'll enter after an hour. But only she, her guard, Claire, as well as the top students of each year and class will go. Only those who have proven their ability will go. So they should make their preparations and toughen their mind. She declares that she will take responsibility. Someone calls out to the princess and tells her they are done assessing the resident employees of the teaching area. The NPC kneels and reports his findings that the Audrey Hall and Potion archives are in the middle of a strike. It's unlikely they'll join them. The princess realizes that the ones here are the only ones who can take any proper action. The NPC tries to say that there are no other students aside from, before he can finish his words. Another NPC screams, "There is one." The girl with glasses explains that she is on her way from the library. In the student library, there's a friend of hers, an apprentice librarian, and a sophomore student in there. The princess asks to know the name of the apprentice, which is said to be Elka Island. Jix is shocked to hear that name. So he furiously questions her about the person she just mentioned. She tells him that they were in the apprentice librarian class together, learning how to manage grimoires. Jix angrily decides to go and rescue her immediately since she is powerless to defend herself. The princess and Lortel try to stop him. Lortel tells him that the student library is really far away. Right now, subduing the cause of the problem, Senior Janica, comes first. The princess agrees with her and reminds him of the sophomore student in the student library with her. She tells the annoyed Jix to believe in that student for now, even though he is trying to refuse. The princess asks the girl if she said there was another student there with her. The girl struggles to say her words and the frustrated Jix shakes the girl to spill the beans, already to the shock of the princess. The girl managed to sound out the name, Ed Roth Taylor, and Jix just lost his mind after hearing that name. The girl tearfully apologizes and says he was sitting there till really late in the night. She was annoyed, so she it to Elka. She tells them that they already know what kind of guy he is, right? But Elka didn't care about rumors like that, so she didn't care. Everyone around has a negative view of Ed. A couple of NPCs start to badmouth Ed and are worried about the apprentice who is stuck with him. Jix becomes even more furious and the princess and Lortel try to calm down and stop him from going again. The princess tells him to have faith in Ed even though he may not have a good reputation. The people are dumbfounded at the words the princess spoke. And the place becomes quiet for a while. This time Jix ignores the princess's words and leaves the place abruptly. He charges straight through some spirits, thinking if Ed touches so much as a hair of Elka's, he is going to beat him to a pulp. Flashback to Jix's life before the academy. The term, rags to riches, isn't nearly enough to describe how miraculous the existence of Jix, the spear of grass, is. Out in the fields, Jix is trying to hunt, he is trying to hunt an adult male moss. He sees it, grazing, and moves with his daggers to attack it. The animal sees him, but it is already too late to escape its death. Jix leaps into the air to attack the animal. Jix is a descendant of the nomadic people who roamed around that land. By the time he came of age, he'd already been separated from his family. He had no idea about when he was abandoned, why he was abandoned, or if he would be able to return to his herd. He learned how to behead a deer before learning how to read. Before learning how to buy goods, and as he drags his catch through the town, people look at him with strange and unsettling eyes. But he is not fazed by them. He even mastered how to procure supplies from corpses on the roadside. Needless to say, that was the life of a beast. As people gossip about him, he doesn't mind them. But one girl approaches him and asks for his name, leaving Jix shocked. He still replies to her question and the young Elka with a smile on her face, tells him, he is like a wolf walking on two legs. And that's when he realized that his life, which was spent endlessly roaming the vast northern prairies, scavenging for carcasses on the side of the road, sleeping with the moon as his roof, being abandoned by his pack, was a lonely life. Wait, bro just realized that, after getting a smile. The earlier signs weren't proof enough for him. The day he met his first companion in life, he suddenly understood the feeling of loneliness. Elka introduced him to her dad, and they both welcomed him into their family. Chasing after the fast-paced life of civilization, the savage life became a distant memory at some point, and the wolf pup became a man. But if it was for the sake of protecting Elka, he would gladly become a beast again. He has heard rumors about the Roth Taylor guy, so he knows he cheated on the test, insulted the princess, and harassed one of his juniors. Jix thinks of all this, as he rushes through the school. He finally reaches the student library and sees Ed, all bruised and wounded. Ed asks who he is. Jix doesn't respond. He grabs Ed's shirt and starts to angrily interrogate him about why he is here and where Elka is right now. What a rude bastard. Ed, not wanting trouble, tells him she is in reading room floor number 3. Jix pushes Ed away and runs off looking for Elka. He asks Elka if she is okay after reaching her location. Elka is sleeping with a jacket covering her. Jix thanks the author for not killing her off. After calming down, he notices that all the bookshelves, which would be hard for a fully grown man to lift, have been placed around Elka as if they were trying to protect her. There are blackout curtains to block the berserk spirit's vision. And even written instructions for her to stay there when she wakes up and to stay calm, block the entrance, and not provoke the spirits. Everything will probably be solved before dawn, so she should think of her safety at all costs and not act rashly. Jix realized that someone protected Elka, and he finally noticed the blood-stained jacket and finally realized that Ed, despite being wounded himself, didn't even care for his body and went so far as to protect Elka. He wonders why Ed would do that for her. Ed recalls 3 hours ago when the disaster began, and after the bookshelf almost killed the poor girl. But thankfully he saved her in time, all thanks to him doing a little bit of strength training regularly. But the episode was progressing faster than he expected. Judging by the summoning rune, it is the start of the Glaskin showdown. Ed was sure Taylor and others would take care of it. So he closed the curtains. He feels he shouldn't be looking at a place like that, where key characters of the storyline are. Because he can't let the future change. Even so, time is gold and he can't afford to sit idly. In a little while, the berserk low-rank spirits will come swarming. So he should block the entrance so the berserk spirits don't come in. And he should also use this chance, even the slightest bit, to perfect his shelter. Now he going to eat the beef jerky he brought and do research all night. But Ed asks himself why Janika's power was so special was her strong command of spirit understanding and spirit connection. These two stats grow through contact with spirits. Since meeting spirits itself is a domain of her talent, for him, who can't even see spirits, raising his spirit stats close to impossible. The berserk spirits come charging at Ed as he opens the door to the outside. Janika at this time is releasing materialized spirits. This has become a leveling up event. Ed prepares a wind blade to fight the spirits and he thanks Janika for the meal and starts attacking. By the time he is done with the event, his ignition spell is level 12, and new stats like spirit connection and spell understanding are both level 7. He was so close. Had he reached a sum of 15 levels for spirit connection and spirit understanding, a spirit contract would be possible too. Well, he pushed himself to the limit, so any more and it would have been really dangerous. Jix comes back with Elka on his back. He asks Ed what he is still doing here. Ed thinks the annoyed guy just couldn't turn a blind eye to him after seeing him rest here with all his bruises. He just decides to tell him he was training here. Which is the truth, by the way. But Jix comes up with his own explanation as to why Ed is still here and does not believe a word Ed said. He tells Ed that he thinks he has finally understands what kind of person Ed is. Honestly, he truly owes Ed a big one. When the time comes, he'll repay this debt to him at any cost. Ed knows Elka was definitely Jix's lover. She was barely important enough to make an appearance in the game. So he completely forgot about her. But Jix is Taylor's friend who trusted him from the beginning to the end of the storyline. So Jix is extremely important to the plot. So he doesn't need to be here right now. Ed tells him that, looking at the situation, he left the student center and came running here to save Elka, right? If he has already confirmed her safety, he should go and do what he is supposed to do. He should get back to the student center, to help Taylor. If he does what he says, things will work out just fine. The confused Jix asks if Ed is talking about Taylor McClure, the guy who is always barely avoiding failures. Ed responds with a yes. Jix asks why Ed thinks highly of Taylor when he has never had a proper conversation with him. Ed thinks rather than regarding him highly, it's an issue of compatibility. Especially since the shell of the high-rank fire spirit, Tarkan, can only be harmed by Taylor's element slash. In Act 1, Scene 9, Taylor learns one of his key moves, element slash. To win this episode, that skill is necessary. If they makes use of Taylor's skill, they can win. Jix thanks Ed for his advice. But Ed shrugs him off. He tells him that they don't have time for this, so he should move quickly. He will just rest here for a bit. As Jix moves away, Ed wonders about the advice he just gave and hopes everything falls into place and unfolds as per the original story. But he suddenly realizes something, after recalling the way Jix spoke of Taylor, and wonders why the two are not friends yet. In the original story, in Act 1, Scene 9 during the end-of-semester assessment, the two have a duel, in which Taylor suffers a one-sided defeat, which leads him to learn Element Slash to cut Jix magic and defeat him. Jix verifies his tenacity and acknowledges Taylor. In the end, the two become friends. However, the final chapter of the first act happened a month earlier than during the original story. And Act 1 Scene 9 didn't even get a chance to happen. So Jix ended up not being Taylor's friend, so Taylor couldn't learn Element Slash. And right now, no one in the raid team can deal any damage to Tarkhan. Ed didn't seem to realize it, but the whole plot is already falling apart. After some time passes, at the student center, the raid team's base, Jix apologizes for the delay. He will make sure to pay back for his wrongdoings. The raid team, all beaten up, tells him to not worry about it. Even if he had been there, they would have lost regardless. The raid team's first invasion attempt failed. The Royal Guard Claire says if they want to re-invade, it'll be better to get more reinforcements. He'll join them as soon as the pain in his leg subsides. The princess tells him, it's okay, he should just rest here since he can't even walk properly. Claire tries to refuse the order. But the princess tells him that even she can't be heartless and send an injured man to fight. Fortunately, their retreat was successful, but the Royal Guard, Claire, is out of the squad. And Clebius, the top student of the first-year combat faculty, also got injured. She wonders if there is a way out. The princess tells them to do their best to take out the spirit dragon, Tarkhan, with the people they have now, but someone says they don't have time to be able to take down the spirit dragon, Tarkhan. Everyone was surprised to see the person who spoke was Ed Roth Taylor. Ed tells them that, judging by the summoning ritual's progress, that thing will be complete in no time. The princess and everyone are shocked at seeing Ed, who is walking toward them. The last thing Ed wanted to do was get involved in the main storyline. But he has no choice now. He tells everyone they will split the raid team in two and he will have to take charge of one side. From now on, he will have to intervene in the storyline. In the game, The Failed Swordsman of Sylvania's strategy guide for Episode 1 with the Spirit Sorcerer, Janica Feylover as the boss of Chapter 1. Conditions for completing the chapter include drafting a raid party, which should include the benevolent Princess Phenia, Spear Greenery Jix, Lortel the Golden Daughter, Isla the main heroine, Elvira the Meddler, and Clebius the Gloomy. These characters must all be summoned to the student center. Additionally, conditions for completing the chapter include meeting Adele the Romantic, Lucy the Slothful, and Maya the Senior Maid. Enemies that will appear are 120 Spirit Stigma, 60 Young Fluid Blessing Spirits, a low-rank Fire Spirit, Goda, 60 Elemental Trace, low-rank Ice Spirit Elkyra, low-rank Wind Norton, low-rank Earth Pike, low-rank Light Spirit Rankier. There is a lot of unnecessary information here, so I will just summarize it for you guys. As players move through the game, some situations can lead to debuffs and some characters give you a buff when certain conditions are met. Back to the story, everyone is still shocked to see Ed there, and Clebius tries to say something to Ed but is stopped by Jix, who asks for Ed to be heard out first. Ed explains that they must get through the fire spirit that Janica summoned, Tarkhan, and deal with the spirit of darkness, Verosfer, who has overpowered Janica. However, as they must have already seen during their fight against Tarkhan, they can't deal any damage to it because of its shell. But they don't necessarily need to go against it. Once one team has gotten Tarkhan's attention, the other can enter the combat training grounds to subdue the suppressed Janica. Once they skip Tarkhan, they can directly confront Janica. Lortel is not convinced by Ed's plan. She says the fire spirit is nothing like the Tarkhan she fought during the combat practice. They only managed to retreat out of pure luck. What if the luring group fails and Tarkhan starts chasing the subduing group, or if things go wrong, what if the luring team gets wiped out? In the end, they'll end up dealing with both at once, it's too risky. Ed tells her, she can only weigh the risks when she has other options. The most important objective in the end is to take down Janica. That way, the fire spirit will be powerless too. Jix asks who's going to be in the luring group. Everyone becomes gloomy because that team is basically the Suicide Squad. Taylor raises his hand, to be on the Suicide Squad. And Ed quickly shuts down his idea, telling him not to act up cause he's definitely going to be on the squad that is going to enter the combat grounds. Taylor tries to explain his reasons for being on the Suicide Squad, but refuses and explains that they are not picking out sacrificial lambs. They don't have to split exactly in half either. Clebius, Lortel, and Ed himself will be enough to lure Tarkan. Both Clebius and Lortel decline the offer. Ed asks for them to believe him, there's a way. The way is to bind Tarkan's feet. But Clebius rather die than fight Tarkan with Ed. Ed gets annoyed about them just wasting time. The princess tells Ed that she doesn't see anything wrong with what he is saying. She still doesn't understand his intentions though. She gives an order as the third princess of the Klol Empire. They'll divide the raid party into two groups. Taylor, Jix, Elvira, Isla, and the princess will be part of the group that subdues Janica. Clebius, Lortel, and Ed will be the Suicide Squad that will distract Tarkan. Lastly, the princess is going to make this very short because they are running out of time. But they should not die at any cost. Both teams finally split up to complete their tasks. Sometime later, the Suicide Squad arrives at the Nail Hall corridor, to face Tarkan. How are they going to stall for time with that fire spirit as their opponent? Lortel asks Ed. He tells her to just do what he tells her to. If things go according to plan, they'll definitely win. The Suicide Squad charges at Tarkan. Ed tells the worried Clebius not to worry. He knows Clebius is very fearful and lacks confidence, in contrast to his skills. But he is the top student among the freshmen of the combat faculty. So he will be able to do it. Clebius wonders why Ed is full of confidence. Does he have a way to do this after all? Behind that door of the combat training grounds lies Janica Feylover. They just need to lure Tarkan away. He was convinced by the princess' firm attitude and came all the way here, but, since he is not alone, he might even be able to muster some courage. Clebius, now filled with courage, rushes in front of Tarkan, who prepares to attack the intruders. Clebius turns to look at his comrades and tells them that Tarkan is coming, so how do they lure him? Only to find out that his comrades have abandoned him. Both he and Tarkan are left stunned by this. Tarkan gets closer to Clebius, who is terrified at this point. He starts running away from Tarkan, who also starts to chase him, after realizing that Clebius was tricked by Ed and Lortel. Clebius asks the traitors, why on earth are they doing this to him? He calls them bastards and asks them to come out. He declares that he hates them and hates this world. Lortel stands outside silently listening to him, as she recalls Ed telling her to get out of there. Now that they've driven Clebius into the Nail Hall's corridor, it's done. He might even be able to do it. Lortel asks Ed if he is planning to sacrifice Clebius. It's not a bad idea, but he won't be able to evade moral criticism. Ed tells her that, first of all, it's not sacrifice. Despite how Clebius looks, he is still a top student and he's very resilient. Also, the most important role will be hers, because she is in charge of securing the entry path for the subduing group and landing a critical hit on Tarkan. Outside Nail Hall, Lortel prepares her ice magic. She thinks she shouldn't jump to conclusions about Ed just after listening to rumors. She remembers one last thing Ed told her, about how everyone will hesitate and doubt themselves, but she should be good at this kind of stuff, so she should just blow it up. After Lortel blows up the wall, a path is created for the subduing group. The princess and others are confused as to why she did that. Lortel cheerfully tells them to go in. She remembers that during the joint combat training, she blew up Nail Hall's ceiling with forbidden intermediate rank magic. So that's why Ed left this to her. Ed Rothtaylor is truly an amusing guy. Anyway, now that the entry path is all set for the subduing group, what is left is Tarkan. Clebius is seen trying to escape Tarkan. Lortel prepares her magic again to attack Tarkan this time. And thinks, even if the plan is successful and the raid party makes it inside without encountering Tarkan, Clebius and her will still have to deal with Tarkan since it'll run around. Going against Tarkan in the student plaza means there's no escape. Seeing Clebius trying to escape Tarkan, she remembers her conversation with Ed again, where he explained that Tarkan can't run away, so the only way is to apprehend him. Because of his shell, no attacks would work anyway. Didn't she experience it firsthand during the combat training practice? She knows she has already lost to it once, not to mention, not a single raid party member could even lay a scratch on him. He prepares something that can be used to deal with Tarkan's shell. So she should just get ready by gathering mana. Back to the fight, Ed is running up the stairs while thinking Lortel was right. Without an attack like Elemental Slash, there's no one in the raid party who can break through Tarkan's shell. Tarkan breaks through Lortel's ice defense like the last time, and Ed finally makes his way to the roof of the Obel Hall. And stares at something or someone who has overwhelming firepower. That person is no other than Lucy the Slothful, who is taking a peaceful nap in the middle of all this chaos. In the game strategy guide, there are very few people who attempt to clear all of the additional achievement conditions, but he has done this countless times. He angrily picks up Lucy and ponders how she is able to nap in the middle of all this. Lucy had nowhere to sleep because his camp was destroyed by her. So she went to the rooftop, where she usually naps. To be exact, she was sleeping until now because she had to be excluded from the storyline. Since Janica was in bad shape, Maya was irritated because of that. So Lucy runs away, uses up all her magic, and falls asleep. However, it was probably a tool in the game to exclude this overpowered person from the scenario. Lucy wakes up the moment she smells beef jerky, which was the secret weapon Ed had in the pouch. Right now, she doesn't have the privilege of being picky right now. Ed shoves the beef jerky into Lucy's mouth for her to eat all of it. Then, Ed prepares to throw Lucy toward the fire spirit. His only concern is the distance. Ed tells everyone to get down and throws Lucy at the place where Lortel and Tarkan are. Lucy, who is soaring through the air, tells Ed, he is so mean. She reaches the location and immediately, she releases a high-rank electrokinesis, divine punishment in that area against Tarkan. The attack is so overwhelming for everyone around. In some ways, this is the most important moment of all. Tarkan is a high-rank fire spirit with a tough shell, disallowing them to apprehend him. Even if they were all to rush toward him together, they would still lose. But after getting hit by Lucy's high-rank magic, even that tough shell will start shattering. Now even their attacks can deal damage to him. So naturally, there'll be a lot of experience left behind when he's eliminated. Now that Ed has come all the way here, he'll take what he can as well. Ed rushing towards Tarkan declares that the last hit will be his.